National Assembly has passed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, leaving the decision on whether to electronically transmit results to the Independent National Electoral Commission. This is contrary to the position adopted by the Senate. The National Assembly passed the majority of the 158 clauses of the bill intact, including Clause 52, which provides that the Independent National Electoral Commission shall determine the mode of voting and transmission of election results. Attempts by some lawmakers to amend the clause were the cause of the debate, and initially it led to a heated debate and rowdiness during the plenary, both in the House and in the Senate, and eventually there was a voting in the Senate, and there was no voting in the House because the minority caucus had to walk out. Well, let's just take a short to listen to what happened over there.
And maybe to conclude my statement, you recall yesterday there are other clauses that we have kept to ourselves, that will, after the constitution, go back to those clauses to look at them again. This particular clause is not an exception, and I still want to put it, that go and read our votes and proceedings of today. This particular question was put, and that was why we had it reported at the Committee of the Whole. I want to beg of us that making us rank cross a house is not the solution.
We did in 2018 conduct network coverage studies in respect of all polling units in the country. We found out we had about 119,000 polling units, about 119. We were able to get the coordinates of about 109,000, and we plotted this across the map of the country, and we superimposed on it the network coverage we had, service-wise. We plotted 2G coverage, 3G coverage, and LTE coverage, and we were able to see that about half of the polling units were covered with 2G/3G services, that is both 2G and 3G services. Roughly about 50.3% of those, then about 49.7% did not have any coverage at all.
Because Honorable Faleke also brought an amendment in agreement to our belief that results should be electronically transmitted. So it has nothing to do with only minority. And where it's not possible, you use manual. That was his own amendment. So the two were rejected by him. And even when we call for a division, rejected. After all, in Senate, where they could not agree, there was a division, and they were allowed to vote so that Nigerians will know those who do not want transparency and those who want transparency.
To keep to our promises, I still want to, even though we are past it, whether there is somebody who wants this decision on 52, clause 52. Anybody want to move for decision for the constitution? 52 has carried.
All right, joining me to analyze this latest developments in the politics, Senator SRJ Ajibola Basiru, who is the chairman of the Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs. And of course, he is a senator representing Osun State. You're welcome.
So Central Senatorial District.
Central, to be specific. Well, it's been a very difficult week for lawmakers in the National Assembly. This Electoral Act Amendment Bill has been very torturous for a lot of you people. A lot of Nigerians have expressed disappointment, specifically with the Senate. But we want you to put it in proper perspective. What exactly did you mean by trying to whittle down the powers of INEC to use electronic voting and electronic transmission of results?
First and foremost, I would say that it's very irresponsible for anybody to say that the Senate tried to whittle down the power of INEC about electronic transmission of results. It is very mind-boggling that politicians will seek to make political gain from issue of seriousness, issue of electoral integrity. And when I saw what the minority leader of the House of Rep just said now, I find it absolutely irresponsible, reckless and unbecoming of somebody in the in the National
they are
Assembly.
your colleagues.
And what I say so
National
is
Assembly.
this, because the issue at stake, and Nigerians must know, was what should be the appropriate wording for Section 42, Subsection 3 of the bill. But in order 52, Subsection 3 of the bill, but to contextualize it, Section 52 has 5 subsections so that Nigerians can be properly enlightened. Section 52, Subsection 1 spoke that open secret ballot will be the mode of election, which has been an established mode since the option A4 had been discarded. There was no controversy about it. Subsection 2 of Section 52 says that INEC has discretion to come up with guidelines for voting and procedure for voting, and that may include electronic voting. No controversy, about it. And you will also know that Section 40, so the question of whether anybody is opposed to transparency in election, process has actually been put to be a lie, to be falsehood by everybody unanimously agreeing to INEC having discretion to adopt appropriate mode of voting and procedure, which may include electronic voting. But this was glossed over because of the mischief that some people intended to do. Then now to Subsection 3 of Section 52. The initial recommendation by Senator Kabiru Gaya committee was that a commission, that's INEC, may transmit election results electronically where and when practicable. Of course, when we got to that clause by clause, a senator, deputy chief whip, raised a point of amendment, and I must let Nigerians know, which is the most controversial aspect. I wanted to let me so I can have what transpires, so that people can have. And the normal procedure is that the fact that a committee of the Senate made a recommendation does not mean it will be sacrosanct. Even on that day, I had cause to raise point of amendment about 3 or 4 times. In those times, 2 of them were voted down. I think 1 or 2 that I raised, was voted in. That's part of democratic, process. When that was raised, Senator Sabi raised the issue that, 1, to say where and when practicable is vague, nebulous, and possibly may be abused in terms of not being able to ascertain the practicability with certain objective parameter. And on that basis, we subject to votes. And there was a vote of the majority that says that his wording should be accepted. And what was his wording? That the commission may transmit result of election electronically once NCC certify the coverage and security of the network and approved by the National Assembly. It was agreed. So as at that point in time, the agreed provision of Section 52, Subsection 3 is the one that have been amended and approved according to the suggestion of Senator Sabi Abdullahi. Then another senator, Bassi, now said that the original recommendation, which of course had earlier been rejected, should be reinstated. And there was a voice vote. The minority leader felt that the voice votes did not properly capture what has been said. But then he called for a division. We went to assembly session when he insisted, and by order 73 of our rules, if you insist, there will be votes. What that signifies is that it was wrong to have said the president did not properly apply the voice votes, because the actual voting on 1-by-1 basis showed that only 28 people voted in favor of the amendment sought to be reinstated by Senator Bassi.
Okay,
now we are now 52. So that let's get it clear. So first and foremost, it shows that the challenge by Senator Abaribe was wrong, was not
but empirical. It was his right.
And the Senate president had to give him his right. It was not his right, but we must put it in context. You see, the essence of our 73 is to say that when you believe that the presiding officer had wrongly adjudged yes vote to be no vote or vice versa, then you call for vote. So what was first established that the presiding officer actually directed properly according to the voice vote. Then secondly too, it's also dishonest, mischievous, and unfortunate that individual will now say that because some of us had issues about the vagueness, the ambivalence, and the nebulous nature of the suggested amendment, to say that we're against electronic voting.
You are a lawyer. You are a lawyer. When you say that INEC considering its independence, would have to consult another sister
There is no
agency
absolute independence.
before
That's
it
where
will
the
do
error
that.
is.
That's where a lot of people are
There is
saying
no
that
absolute
if
independence.
Mr. President signs this law, it may end up in the law court.
We should not be afraid of the law court, first and foremost. I'm a trained legal practitioner. I'm a legal scholar. At the risk of sounding immodest, I wrote a thesis on property law. So nobody should be afraid of going to court. In fact, the strength of any democratic contest is for the court to have opportunity to adjudicate on and test the position of our law.
Okay.
And I want to say this, it's very important for Nigeria to know that it is mischievous to say that there's absolute independence of any arms of government.